Bonsoir. Welcome to the newcomers and welcome back for the others. Let's go for chapter 12 of The Broken Empire, The Prince of Thorns. 4 years earlier. More of the tall castles lie below the grounds than above. It should be called the Deep Castle, really. It took us a while to reach the dungeons. We heard the shriek from a level up, though walls of builder stone. This visit is, perhaps, a bad idea, Linda said, pausing before an iron door. It's my idea, tutor, I said. I thought you wanted me to learn by my mistakes. Another scream reached us. Guttural, with a hoarse edge to it, an animal sound. Your father wouldn't approve of this visit, Linda said. He pressed his lips in a tight line, troubled. That's the first time you've called on father's wisdom to resolve an issue. Shame on you, tutor Lundist. Nothing will turn me back now. There are things, children. Too late. That horse already bottled, stable burned. I brushed past him and rapped on the door with the hilt of my dagger. Open up! A rattle of keys, and the door slid inward on oiled hinges. The wave of stench that hit me nearly took my breath. A warty old fellow in warder's leathers leaned into view and opened his mouth to speak. Don't, I said, holding the business end of my dagger toward his tongue. I walked on, Lundist at my heels. You always told me to look and make my own judgment, Lundist, I said. I respected him for that. No time to get squeamish. York! He was torn. I could hear it in his voice. Racked between emotions I couldn't understand and logic that I could. Prince! The cry rang out again, much louder now. I'd heard the sound before. It pushed at me, trying to force me away. The first time I heard that kind of pain, my mother's pain, something held me back. I'll tell you it was the hook briar which held me fast. I show you the scars, but in the night before the dreams come, a voice whispers to me that it was fear that held me back, terror that rooted me in the briar, safe while I watched them die. Another scream, more terrible and more desperate than any before. I felt the hooks in my flesh. York! I shook Lundist's hand from me and ran toward the sound. I didn't have too far to run. I pulled up short at the entrance to a wide room, torchlit, with cell doors lining 3 sides. At the center, 2 men stood on opposite sides of a table, to which a third man had been secured with chains. The larger of the 2 warders held an iron poker, one hand in a basket of glowing coals. None of the 3 noted my arrival, nor did any of the faces pressed to the barred windows in the cell doors turn my way. I walked in. I heard Lundist arrive at the entrance and stopped to take in the scene, as I had. I drew close, and the warder, without the iron, glanced my way. He jumped as if stung. What in the... He shook his head to clear his vision. Who? I mean, I'd imagine the torturers will be terrifying men with cruel faces, thin lips, hooked noses, the eyes of soulless demon. I think I found their ordinariness more of a shock. The shorter of the two looked a touch simple, but in a friendly way. Mild, I'd call him. "Who are you?" This one had a more brutish cast to him, but I could picture him at hell, laughing or teaching his son's pitch ball. I hadn't any of my court weeds on, just a simple tunic for the schoolroom. There was no reason for warders to recognize me. They would enter the vault through the villain's gate and had probably never walked in the castle above. "I'm York," I said, in a servant's accent. My uncle paid old Ward-face at the door to let me see the prisoners. I pointed toward Lundist. "We're going to the executions tomorrow. I wanted to see criminals close up first." I wasn't looking at the warders now. The man on the table held my gaze. I'd seen only one black skin before, a slave to some noble visiting father's court from the south. But that man was brown. The fellow on the table had skin blacker than ink. He turned his head to face my way, slow, as if it waits like glade. The whites of his eyes seemed to shine in all that blackness. "Ward-face? Ha! I like that." The big warder relaxed and took up his iron again. "If there's 2 ducats in it for me and Graben here, then I reckon you can stay and watch this fellow squill." "Berek, it don't seem right." Graben furrowed his broad forehead. "He's a young un and all." Berek pulled the poker from the coal and held it toward Graben. "You don't want to stand between me and a ducat, my friend." The black man's naked chest glistened below the glowing point. Ugly burns marked his ribs, red flesh erupting like new plucked furrows. I could smell the sweet stench of roasted mist. "It's very black," I said. "As nubbin is what it is," Berek said, scowling. He gave the poker a critical look and returned it to the fire. "Why are you burning him?" I asked. I didn't feel easy under the Nemban's scrutiny. The question puzzled them for a moment. Graben's frown deepened. "He's got the devil in him," Berek said at last. "All them nubbins have. Heathens, the lot of them. I heard that Father Gumst, him as leads the kings himself in prayer, says to burn the heathens." Berek laid a hand on the nubbin's stomach, a disturbingly tender touch. "So we're just creepsing this one up a bit before the king comes to watch him killed on the morrow." "Executed," Graben pronounced the word with the precision of one who has practiced it many times. "Execute, killed, what's the difference? They all end up for the worms." Berek spat into the coals. The Nuban kept his eyes on me, a quiet study. I felt something I couldn't name. I felt somehow wrong for being there. I ground my teeth together and met his gaze. "What did he do?" I asked. "Do?" Graben snorted. "His prisoner, his crime." I asked. Berek shrugged. "Getting cooked." Lundist spoke from the doorway. "I believe that all of the prisoners for execution are bandits captured by the army of the march, the king ordered the action to prevent raids across the leechway into Norwood and other protectorates. I broke my gaze from the nubbins and let it slide across the marks of his torture, where the skin remained unburned, patterns of raids, scarred, picked out symbols, simple in design, but arresting to the eye. A soiled loincloth hung across his hips. His wrists and ankles were bound with iron shackles secured with a basic pin lock. Blood oozed along the short chains, anchoring them to the table. "Is it dangerous?" I asked. I moved close. I could taste the burned meat. "Yes," the nubbin smiled as he said it. "Is this bloody?" "You shut your ass in the hole, you!" Berek yanked the iron from the coals. A shower of sparks flew up as he lifted the white-hot poker to eye level. The glow made something ugly of his face. It reminded me of a wild night when the lightning lit the face of Contranor's man. I turned to the nubbin. If he'd been watching the iron, I'd have left him to it. "Are you dangerous?" I asked him. "Yes." I pulled the pin from the manacle on his right wrist. "Show me." That was quite a short chapter, but, well, anyway, it's the end of it, so hope I see you next time. Bye-bye.